You know this person. Maybe you are this person. The argument ended 20 minutes ago, but you're still going. You pulled up Google, found 3 articles, and you're about to send a screenshot just to prove your point about something nobody even cares about anymore. And the worst part? Even when you win the argument, you don't feel better. You feel hollow, maybe even a little guilty. So why do you keep doing it? The answer isn't stubbornness. It's not ego. It's something psychologists have been studying for decades, and it starts with one question. What are you actually afraid of? Here's the first thing you need to understand. People who always need to be right are rarely arguing about the thing they're arguing about. On the surface, it looks like they care deeply about whether the restaurant closes at 9 or 10, or which route is faster, or who said what 3 weeks ago. But underneath, they're fighting for something much more fundamental, the feeling of being competent. In psychology, this connects to something called self-worth contingency. Some people's entire sense of value is built on being right, being correct, being the smart one. It's not that they enjoy arguing. It's that being wrong feels like being less. And when being wrong feels like a threat to your identity, your brain will fight harder to win an argument than it fights against actual danger. This is why people will argue about tiny, insignificant things with incredible intensity. It's not about the topic. It's about what losing means to their self-concept. Like almost everything in psychology, this traces back to early life. Children who were valued primarily for their intelligence or correctness, "You're so smart, you always know the answer," learned something dangerous. My worth is tied to being right. This is related to what psychologist Carol Dweck calls the fixed mindset. When you're praised for being smart rather than for working hard, your brain learns that intelligence is an identity, not a process. So when you're wrong about something as an adult, your brain doesn't process it as, "I made a mistake." It processes it as, "I'm not smart." And since being smart is your identity, being wrong becomes an identity crisis. Children who were criticized harshly for mistakes develop this even more intensely. If getting an answer wrong at the dinner table led to humiliation or disappointment, your brain made a rule: never be wrong. It's not safe. Fast forward to adulthood, and you're arguing with your partner about directions while your knuckles go white on the steering wheel. You're not navigating a road, you're navigating a childhood wound. The brain has a toolkit for protecting itself from uncomfortable truths. Psychologists call these ego defense mechanisms, and people who need to be right use several of them constantly, often without knowing it. Rationalization? I wasn't wrong, I just had different information at the time. Deflection? Well, you were wrong about something last week, so selective memory. Remembering the parts of the conversation that support your position and conveniently forgetting the parts that don't. Goalpost shifting. Okay, maybe I was wrong about that, but my main point was actually... Sound familiar? These aren't signs of dishonesty. They're signs of a brain under threat, doing whatever it can to maintain psychological safety. The irony is, these defenses work short-term. You win the argument. You feel temporarily safe. But long-term, they erode trust, damage relationships, and create a version of reality that gets further and further from the truth. Because here's the paradox. The more you need to be right, the less accurate your worldview becomes. You stop seeking truth and start seeking confirmation. And those are very different things. There's one more cost to always needing to be right, and it's the one nobody talks about. It's what it does to you when you're alone. People who always need to be right are often incredibly lonely, and they usually don't understand why. They think, "I'm smart, I'm correct most of the time, why aren't people wanting to be around me more?" The answer is painful but necessary. People don't connect with you because of how much you know. They connect with you because of how safe they feel around you. And when every conversation has the potential to become a debate, when every disagreement turns into a battle, when admitting you're wrong feels like pulling teeth, people stop opening up. They stop sharing. They stop being vulnerable. Not because they don't like you, but because vulnerability requires safety. And people who need to be right make others feel psychologically unsafe without even trying. The tragic part is the person who needs to be right usually wants connection more than anyone. They just learned somewhere along the way that being right was the path to being loved, and it's not. It's the path away from it. So how do you start letting go of the need to be right?
First, catch the physical response. Your body knows before your brain does. The tightness in your chest, the clenching of your jaw, the rush of heat, those are signals that your ego has been activated. Notice them. Name them. Oh, I'm getting defensive. Second, ask yourself the magic question. Would I rather be right or would I rather be close? This question is powerful because it reframes the situation. It reminds you of what you actually want, connection, versus what your brain is chasing, validation. Third, practice saying 3 words that will change your life. You might be right. Not you are right, just you might be. That small phrase opens a door that defensiveness keeps locked, and you'll be amazed at how people respond when you say it. Fourth, separate your intelligence from your accuracy. You can be brilliant and still be wrong about something. Those aren't contradictions. Being wrong about one thing doesn't erase everything you know, but needing to be right about everything will erase the people who love you. And that's the strange paradox behind people who always need to be right. Most of the time, it's not about intelligence, it's not about knowledge, and it's definitely not about winning arguments. It's about fear. Fear of looking weak, fear of being judged, fear of losing control, fear of admitting, even for a second, maybe I'm wrong. But the real strength in a conversation has never been proving everyone else wrong. The real strength is being able to pause, think, and say, maybe I didn't see that clearly. Because the smartest people in the room usually aren't the loudest ones. They're the ones still curious enough to learn. And the truth is, nobody remembers the person who won every argument. But people always remember the person who made them feel heard. So the next time you feel the urge to prove your point, pause for a second and ask yourself one question. Do I want to win this argument or keep this relationship? Because sometimes the most intelligent thing you can say in a conversation is simply, you might be right.